Jeff Opito. This is a 1965 Dodge Dart GT. This is one of the only GTs with this certain engine combination. This is called a Charger 273. In 1965, they came out with this engine. It's a high output, high compression V8. It was the first V8 of the line. They called it an LA based engine, and this engine is the same as the 318, 340, and 360, and they kept this engine as a 318 all the way up until about 1995-ish, and the last car it was in, I think, was a Dodge Durango. So it basically, they got this engine, they built it, this is the first iteration of it. What's really cool is if you see it says Charger on the car, they put this engine out, thought it was really neat. In 1966, they then decided, well, why not make a car based on that? And in 1966, the first Charger came out. So a lot of people in this grouping call this the very first Dodge Charger. And they only made, my numbers are wrong-ish, like 400 or 500 of this exact type of car. This was a really just bottom of the barrel, nothing fancy vehicle back in the day. So they all went to the junkyard. So there's not a lot of these left. Not a lot in good condition, and that's why I decided to restore it. The exhaust is a dual exhaust system. It's not stock, but I made it look as stock as possible from the rear. It's supposed to have a single exhaust with a very quiet muffler. Being that this is the GT model, it would have had a stock exhaust with a resonator tip. It would have a very nice toned exhaust, but it was quiet. That was the idea behind this, was that it had a lot of power, but it was the understated hot rod. But I decided to give it a little more oomph. I did that years ago, though, before I really understood what the car was. Otherwise, I might have kept it stock. So I just have a belt right here. My seat folds forward by a simple push. There's no safety within this whole car, but it's fine. Back in the day, a 300 horsepower car was a lot of power. This thing being a small car with a very big V8,
it's nice.
It would move. It does a good job doing it. So think of the Dart as a Honda Civic and the Coronet as a Honda Accord. Back in 1965, if you went to the Honda dealership, let's say, this would be like the hot rod Honda Civic. Now, there are some people that really like that, and that's fine. But by the time you built out your Honda Civic to be really cool, the dealership guy would tell you at that point, why don't you just buy a Honda Accord, or mid-range Honda Accord even? And at that point, then you would see the Honda Accord is a bigger, more luxurious car, so on and so forth. Most people then went that route. This is basically the hot rod Honda Civic at that point. You really, really needed to have a want for this vehicle for that to happen. So, and that's why this car doesn't exist as much. And that's a big reason why I decided to go into the restoration process with it. It doesn't exist. So it's really kind of cool. For the GT model, you got an emblem on the side, roof trim, and one of the features you would have had was a fake vinyl top right in the center. All of this trim would have existed as well. and then they call these the darts that come across. This would have been on the car only for the GT model. If you didn't get the GT, you also didn't get the portholes on the bottom. So all of this trim and the bright work, as they call it, would not have been there. And the idea behind bright work is to show all your neighbors, I didn't get the cheap one, I got the nice one. And everyone see all the trim and all the shininess and go, wow, that's really cool. Nowadays, with newer cars, they all look the same, maybe a few things here and there, not as much. Back in the day, you really wanted to show your neighbors you bought the new car and you got the nicest one available. Another thing on the GT also was the hardtop windows. So when you roll down the window on the car, there's no center post here. It just opens up completely. It was just a way to like really streamline the look of the vehicle. A purist will see that I did this incorrectly. These are what's called, they call them dog dish hubcaps. And so, or poverty caps. This was the type of cap that you would have on the lowest possible model of this vehicle. When I redid the car, I just liked the look and I painted the rims and then got the caps. The original caps, and I have them, is a little bit bigger, very ornate design, has the original Dodge symbol within it and as well. But I enjoy the look of this, so I went that route. And this was the original hubcap. It is. I thought that was pretty cool. Has the Dodge sign again. It's all painted black on the inside and stuff. It looks great on the car, but I like that look better. And then these actually are another stock feature for the car. I just need to restore it if I wanted to do it. But that was a stock rim that you could buy for this car. I found a set of their basket cases, and that's why they were free. Back in the day, they would put the push button type handles on vehicles. This was more expensive. It required more parts to make that handle happen. And as years went on, they realized more parts equal more possibility of the handle falling apart. Wow. So that's why when we go longer and longer into car history, you start noticing handles that pull out or have a cup that pulls in, less parts, more streamlined, less things to catch your clothing on, everything of the sort. So that's kind of what happened here. This handle, actually, what's really cool about it is they used it on every Dodge up until the mid 70s. So a lot of these handles are on most Dodges. And so it's really fun to see these really expensive, amazing vehicles have the exact part that my car has. If you wanted to kind of talk about an interesting feature, it's on the other side too. This right here is your air conditioning system. The air flows inside of the vent on the top, and if you want more air, you open the door. If you want less air, you close the door. And I've noticed it's really easy to do with the tip of your shoe, and I keep that one open, and it's incredible how well they work. This was also an optional steering wheel for 1965. It's a 3-spoke. They had a wood grain on it, but all of them have been worn off. Needs a little bit of polish and it would look great though. The original front seat has the original foam in it, but I got a new seat covers for the fronts, but the back seat covers are original to the car. It's a little bit different there. Not a lot. And not a lot of people understand these cars that much anyway, so I can kind of get away with having a little bit of a difference. The color on this is color code PP1. It's, I think they first started it in 64 or 63, and it is the original color for the car. The only difference between this color on this car and the like an original would be that I put a couple of coats of clear coat on it, so it's a little deeper, a little shinier than it would be in stock condition. So otherwise the exact color is the color that they use, and they use this color, I believe, from 64 until 67 or so would be my guess. So they could have used it until 60, 80. But now this is, I don't know, $10,000 car. So it's still affordable, and it's very affordable to get into the hobby. People don't realize that, but it's just really rare. If you have kids, get them in the hobby. That's a big thing in the car world right now. If you're doing this, teach someone else. This is a dying art. Most people don't even know what a carburetor is, and that's fine. But it's really fun to get in here. It's like a puzzle. Whenever you have a problem, get in there and figure out what's wrong. The car will tell you what's wrong. And try to enjoy it. Don't see it as a chore to do something on a Saturday. I would recommend most people think about getting into something like this, and don't be scared about it either, even if you're not a car person, because there are mechanics out there that will help you with your car, and they don't cost that much. It's way better to do it yourself. But I would recommend, even if you're not a car person, to still get into the hobby. It's super fun, and if it breaks and you don't want to deal with it for a weekend, leave it. Just have something to drive daily and enjoy it.